All right, today we're going to tackle a tool that might sound a little technical, but trust me, it's really all about telling a clear story. We're talking about the use case diagram. And this isn't about just drawing some boxes and lines. It's about turning your big, complex app ideas into a blueprint that everyone on your team can actually understand. Let's dive in.
So, I want you to think for a second. Have you ever been part of a team project? Could be anything really. Launching a new product, planning an event, heck, even just trying to build IKEA furniture with somebody.
You know that feeling, right? It's such a classic problem. You're absolutely sure you're all building a sleek sports car, but your lead engineer is picturing a family minivan, and the marketing team, they're already designing posters for a spaceship. That kind of disconnect, that's where projects go completely off the rails. But what if there was a simple way to get everyone looking at the same blueprint?
Well, there is, and that's exactly what a use case diagram is for. It's the blueprint, the high-level plan that lays out everything your system is supposed to do.
But here is the absolute key, the most crucial thing to get. A use case diagram is all about the what. What does the system need to do for the user? It's not about the how, not the code, not the database, none of that. And separating those two things is so powerful. It means you're creating a common language that everyone, developers, your boss, even customers, can look at and agree on before you get bogged down in technical details.
To make this all crystal clear, we're going to use an analogy for the rest of this explainer. I want you to think of building your app like you're producing a movie, and the use case diagram, that's your entire production plan. So first things first, let's meet the cast and crew.
Every movie production needs a few key elements to even get started, right? Well, for our diagram, there are just 4 core building blocks. And these 4 things define the entire scope of your project. Let's break them down. First up, we've got the system. This is our film set. It's the stage where all the action is going to happen. It's literally just a big box that you draw to say, everything inside this box is part of our app, and everything outside isn't. That single box, believe it or not, is your first huge decision, defining the scope of what you're actually building. And what good is a set without actors, right? In our world, these are the actors. Now, it's really important to remember an actor isn't always a person. Sure, it could be a customer, but it could also be another system, like a credit card payment gateway or an external API. Basically, anything outside your system box that talks to it is an actor. And now for the start of the show, the use case itself. These are the key scenes in our movie. Each one is a specific goal that an actor wants to achieve. Things like withdraw money or generate a report. And there's a reason we name them with a verb and a noun. It's not just some fussy rule. It actually forces you to focus on the goal and the value you're delivering. And finally, we have the relationships. These are the lines that tie it all together. Think of them as the script directions. They just show which actors are in which scenes. And that's it. The set, the cast, the scenes, and the directions. That's the whole core structure right there.
Okay, so we've met our cast, we've got our crew, now it's time to actually map out the plot. Let's see how all these simple pieces come together to tell a coherent story.
It really is this simple, just 4 steps. First, you draw your big box. That's the system, our film set. Then you put your stick figure actors outside the box. Third, you put your use cases, those little ovals, our scenes, inside the box. And finally, you just draw lines connecting the actors to the scenes they need to be in. Boom! You've just mapped out the main action of your entire system.
Now, every good movie needs a few plot twists, right? Some interesting connections that add a little depth. Well, in use case diagrams, we have some special relationships that do exactly the same thing. They help us tell a smarter, cleaner story.
Let's break down the 2 big ones, include and extend. Getting these right is a total game changer. An include is for a mandatory reusable scene. Think about it. You can't withdraw money without first validating who you are. So validate user is an included use case. It's for stuff that must happen. And extend, on the other hand, is an optional side plot. You only calculate a fine at the library if the book is overdue. See the difference? It's conditional. So just remember, include is for what must happen. Extend is for what might happen.
Then there's this other cool concept called generalization. Don't let the word scare you. It's basically just inheritance for your actors. You might have a generic guest user who can browse your site. But then you have a registered student who is the child. They can do everything the parent guest can do, plus they have their own special powers, like borrowing books.
All right, pop quiz time. Just to make sure this is sinking in that relationship, who actually has more power, more abilities in the system? Is it the child actor or the parent actor? That's right, it's the child actor. They get everything the parent has, and then they add their own special stuff on top.
So right now,
Our diagram is kind of like a movie poster. It looks great, it shows you the characters, the main scenes, but it doesn't give you the dialogue. It doesn't tell you the step-by-step action. For that, we gotta zoom in and look at the script.
And this brings us to the next level of detail. Behind every single one of those use case ovals on your diagram, there's a written scenario. This is the script. It's the play-by-play description of how the actor and the system talk to each other to get that goal done.
You always start by writing out the main success scenario, which people usually call the happy path. This is the perfect world scenario, where everything goes exactly right. For withdraw money, it's this super simple sequence. You have to nail this down first to make sure you've defined the core function before you get lost in all the things that could go wrong.
But of course, life isn't always a happy path. Things go wrong. What if there are insufficient funds in the account? What if the ATM runs out of cash? These are your alternative flows and exceptions. A really good use case documents these variations too, explaining exactly what the system should do when things don't go according to plan.
Okay, so as the credits start to roll on our little production here, let's take a step back and look at what we've actually created. Why did we go through all this trouble to make this blueprint in the first place? So why does all of this matter? Because this simple diagram does something that is incredibly hard to do. It creates a shared vision that everyone agrees on. It lets you find those dangerous misunderstandings before anyone writes a single line of code, when it's cheap and easy to fix. And most importantly, it forces every single conversation to be about user goals and the value your system is supposed to deliver. It's not just a blueprint for an app, it's a blueprint for team alignment.
So I'll just leave you with this question to chew on. Think about your next project, or the one you're on right now. How much faster and how much better could your team build the right thing if everybody was reading from the same script from day one?